even in my death, respect that. If you don't respect anything else, at least respect my choice of conscience, especially when I'm not there to defend myself. It's a pity that that happened. However, all we can do is pray for the repose of the soul of our sister Ellen, and that she continues to inspire many people, particularly the women folk. She was a leading woman's and she did not only speak about women's issues, she acted for women's issues. We also pray for her family and her children, that God may soothe them during this time. And also I have to say condolences to the whole country, because it's the country that lost a real hero. She is going to continue to inspire us each time we read her history and each time we reflect upon the good things that she did for us until we meet again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lubinda, for that message of goodwill to the departed President of the FTD, Ms. Edith Nawakwi. And I take this opportunity to also wish condolences to the family and the entire nation at large. I'm calling upon Samlipa to delve into the meat of the discussion tonight, and please do follow the deliberations closely. Take time to punch the number that is calling on your screen to interact with us, and you can drop a post or on Facebook, follow us on Millennium Television Zambia, like us, and you will be able to make a comment and read through during the course of the program. Honorable Lubinda, perhaps now is the time that we get to delve into the meat of the discussion. And first things first, I want us to speak to the issues of the public sentiment and political strategy. We are here in 2025, just a year before the 2026 elections, and apparently a number of things have been going around. We have seen political activity getting intense, hyped up. One is forced to conclude that the campaigns have started, though not officially announced. But then the president did make a statement to the effect that he needs a second term that is going to help double the gross domestic product of this country. And to that effect, there was a response from a number of stakeholders, one being Honorable Brian Mundubile, who expressed that Zambians will not experiment with the UPND again, citing the doubling of the living costs and the unmet promises. Do you believe this sentiment reflects a broader national consensus? And if so, how should the PF capitalize on the discontent to regain the public trust and support in the coming elections?
My dear Mr. Monson, let's put things in the right perspective. You are right to say that the campaign has started. And you said, although not officially, there is nothing that can be done by the president which is unofficial. Whatever the president does is official. And President Hakainde has already launched his campaign, meaning that he has declared that all of us must start campaigning. The trouble, though, is that President Hakainde is such that while he has to schools, to university, and telling everybody, give me a second term, he still is not willing to allow the opposition to do that work. And when you talk about the disenchantment expressed by the sentiment expressed by Brian Mundubile, Zambians don't want to take an experiment, I don't think it's really a matter for Brian, because Brian Mundubile is simply saying what the majority of Zambians are doing. Wherever we go, Zambians are saying the experiment we undertook in 2021 is extremely ghastly and extremely disappointing. The Zambians are extremely disappointed with the experiment that we are of voting for a novice, a person who has no knowledge whatsoever about what governance is all about. And I don't think that Zambians would want to take another such experiment. And this is from the people themselves. Wherever we go, people are saying to us, vote chatile terera. Chikome kome chankuyu mukati mulinyerere. This man was telling us all sorts of rosy things, and he made us fall for his deceit. And the outcome is extremely the opposite. Some people go to the extent of saying, the man postured like an angel. For 20 years, he kept saying, I will do things better. I can do things better. These people have no brains. That's why the country is not run properly. When I come, I'll do things. And people fell for that. They thought they had seen an angel, and now they have come to realize that actually what they were seeing as an angel is far from being an angel, except for self-praise. That's the only thing that Zambians will miss Hakainde about, is self-praise to the Zambian people. And therefore, I subscribe to those who are saying, no more experiment. Zambia at 60 years, in the next year, in 2026, Zambia will be 62 years. In these 62 years, Zambia has had many leaders. Zambia has experienced people to lead it. I don't think that there will be room anymore for giving leadership, especially at national level, to a person who is a novice, a person who doesn't know the ABC of governance. Hakainde has done one good thing for us, to teach us Zambians that we cannot experiment with leadership. And I'm sure that Zambians in 2026 will not look anywhere towards Hakainde Hichilema. They will make sure that they vote for experienced people, people who have been there before, people who are knowledgeable on how to govern.
They really say that the cost of living has been doubled in the tenure of Hakainde with the UPND. Could it be true that these are some of the issues that people weigh in, especially with regards the cost of living?
Indeed. I don't think that there's anyone who can doubt the fact that the cost of living in Zambia has increased, exponentially for that matter. And the best way to assess it is to use the JCTR, Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket. In July of 2021, just before elections, July 2021, the BNNB, the Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket for Zambia in Lusaka, was 8,491 kwacha, 22 ingwe. Now, in February, it increased from 8,000 to 15,000. An increase of more than 7,000 kwacha in less than 4 years. That shows you that indeed the cost of living has increased. Fuel prices, and I'm referring to them because fuel affects the whole industry and affects all commodity prices. Fuel in 2021 was 17 kwacha. And remember what the angel in Hakainde was saying. He was telling the Zambian people that in this price, these people, because of all these middlemen, they are stealing 3 kwacha. When the price of fuel was actually 15 kwacha in 2021. Over the last 3.5 years, Hakainde has more than doubled the price of fuel to 34 kwacha a liter from 15 kwacha. What about the price of Millennium? When Hakainde took over the government, the price of roller meal was about 90 kwacha. Today the price of roller meal is more than 350 kwacha. Sugar prices have more than trebled. Cooking oil prices have more than trebled. Previously, you'd find people in shops filling up trolleys, buying because they have got money. Today, even baskets are not used. People, today, if you go in shops, go in these chain stores, they are empty. There are no people going to chain stores anymore. Go now to any restaurant and see how many people are having supper with their families. Very, very few. Why? It's because of the increase in the cost of living. Go in the compounds where we live and see the starvation in the faces of people. Now people can't even afford to keep pets. People can't afford to feed dogs. The dogs now are all stray, and actually even stray dogs are not seen anymore because they are starving. Previously there would be stray dogs because they would go to a bin and scavenge from a bin. Now bins don't even have food. Because if the people cannot afford food, how will they throw away food for the dogs? Hakainde promised the Zambian people that when I come, I'm going to make sure that each one of you has 3 square meals a day. He is coming to the end of his first term of office, and he was telling the people, now don't even give food to dogs, keep it, you warm it in the morning, mudye chimbala. President, head of state, telling his people, eat chimbala. And then he even tells them now, give me another 5 years, because now if you give me another 5 years, I will increase the GDP. Yes. President Hakainde and his Minister of Finance eat figures. That's the problem. They don't eat food, they eat figures. When they see GDP growth, then they brag and say, yes, we have increased GDP. But GDP on its own, without an effect on the lives of people, is useless GDP. The GDP of the country can grow exponentially because you're exporting a lot of copper. But what are you getting from that copper that you're exporting for the benefit of Zambians? If there is no equitable distribution of the GDP, then that GDP is useless. What I mean, Mr. Mansa, is that in a country such as ours, Mr. Hakainde, to give you an example, Mr. Hakainde the other day was bragging. In 2021, we were producing 650,000 metric tons of copper. Now we are producing 800,000 metric tons. Very well. You have increased production by 150,000 metric tons per year. But can you show that because of the increase of 150,000 metric tons, and at the time when the price of copper is high, that this is translating in better living standards of the people?
So, Mr. President, ideally, what microeconomic policies can this government put in place to see to it that there is a trickle-down effect on the growth in the GDP?
This government, you mean?
Yes.
No, nothing. There is nothing that this government is capable of doing because this is a captive government. Captive because the policies that they come up with are not homegrown. The policies of this government are sponsored by the West. The policies of this government are not to enrich and benefit Zambians. Their policies are to enrich the West, the capitalists. This is the reason why they have been telling you Zambians, we want to ramp up production of copper to 3 million tons. For heaven's sake, with the 150,000 tons you have increased, there is no beneficiation of the poor people. Even if you're to ramp it up to 3 million, you're just taking our resources and externalizing them. You're benefiting the West. You're not benefiting Zambians.
So at present, the microeconomic policies do not in any way favor the Zambians?
What I'm saying is that there is no policy that you can advise them on because they are a captive government. The Brenthurst Foundation will not allow them to come up with policies that will have benefits for Zambians. The first thing, if this government was to do anything, now it's too late. The point I'm making is that it's too late because even if they were to change now and become local oriented and they become inward looking and they come up with policies that are going to support the growth of the quality of life of people, it is too late because it will not take effect within the next few months. The damage they have caused is so deep that it will take another government to come and repair, not they themselves. They can't repair.
So the UPND is in no position to mend the damage that they have caused?
They have failed, totally failed.
So given the increasing economic hardships and public dissatisfaction with the president and his administration, what specific evidence do you have that supports the assertion made by the opposition, you inclusive, that Hichilema has failed to deliver on key promises?
I laugh because, you know, these days I enjoy watching social media videos because every day I see several postings on social media of Hakainde making this promise and making that every day. Today I saw on social media a very interesting posting of Hakainde in opposition where he was saying, any person who wants to be a Minister of Justice in the UPND government, any person who wants to be Minister of Home Affairs, Inspector General of Police, Attorney General, you must make sure that we put the justice of the Zambians people first. The There will be no one in Zambia who shall be incarcerated without being presented to court for more than 48 hours. Everyone who's arrested, they must be charged and presented before a court of law within 48 hours. That is a promise he made. How many people have suffered at the hands of the police, not being presented to court over months? Broken promise. Big rule of law promise, broken. Hagainde told us, when you vote for me, I shall allow people to interact, people shall have freedom to meet and so on. 4 years along the line, he has not allowed the PF to have one meeting. He has not allowed other political parties to have one meeting. And I'm making an example of Socialist Party. They write to the police and say, we're going to have a meeting in Kitwe. The police say, yes, go ahead and have the meeting. One night before the meeting, the police go back and say, no, we've changed our minds, don't have the meeting. Isn't that a broken promise? He told us, Zambians, I am ready to govern this country. I've been going abroad, and my friends abroad have promised me that the day you elect me, they're going to give Zambia $25 billion. And Zambians believed. And they said, this man, if his friends give us 25 billion as a grant, it means that our problems are gone. Our debt is finished. 4 years along the line, not even $1 has come from his friends. Not even $1, but he promised 25 billion. He told us that when you elect me, I shall make sure that fertilizer prices are reduced. What has he done? Instead, he has increased prices. And those broken promises, he told us that he's going to increase employment. And what was he saying? He was telling us that me, I'm a prudent businessman, and I'm going to make sure that I create an environment in which private investors will come and invest to create jobs. How many jobs have been created in the private sector? Because he has failed, now he's running to creating jobs in the civil service. Employing nurses, employing teachers. Not that it is wrong, but the fact is there is no economy that can boast about creating employment in the civil service. No. Prudent managers are those who make sure that employment is created by the private sector to support the government sector, not the other way around. You increase the labor force in the civil service and you pay them peanuts. You can't afford to pay them good wages. As I speak to you now, Mr. Mwansa, I can tell you that the PF government told all diploma holder teachers and nurses that please upgrade your qualifications from diploma to university degree. And once you do that, your salaries will increase. If you go now to these schools, go and ask. And a lot of our teachers upgraded themselves at their own cost from diploma to degree, and yet their salaries are static. Why are their salaries static? Because Hagainde does not have enough money to pay them. And yet he's boasting and saying, we have employed more people. Let the private sector thrive so that it is the one that employs. So that the tax that you will collect from the private sector will support your running of government.
But surely, Mr. President, we cannot only focus on, of course, of the many things that were promised, not everything has been kept, owing to the economic challenges, of course. But then, you can point to some successes. We have had free education. Free education has been rolled out. Definitely, we have had close to 40,000 people employed in the public sector. And we have had an increment of CDF, and a lot of people have appreciated the fact that it has moved from 1.6 to 36 million plus. Mr. President, these are scores that the UK points to.
Yes, you know, I know that you're asking me these questions on behalf of the people so they can explain. Yes.
We need to appreciate where we need to appreciate what has been done.
Well. Number one, I said employment in the public service is nothing to brag about because it does not grow the economy. what grows the economy is the private sector, not the government sector. No. When you increase the labor force in the public sector, all you're doing is increasing the cost of running government. Now, in this country, more than 80% of government revenue goes to paying salaries. Only 20% is what goes to service delivery, to medicines and so on. Now, I said, had that 40,000 number been generated from the private sector, I would have said, yes, this is something that is worth clapping for. So discount that. That is nothing to demonstrate the growth of the economy. Number two, free education. This is a misnomer, and I'd like Zambians to understand this. Zambia has always given its children free education. From independence, we were having free education. Even during the time of the Patriotic Front, or even during the time of MMD, government was giving free education. As at the time of the PF, every child was paying 200 kwacha only. 200 kwacha only per term. Okay? 200 kwacha. And what was that money being used for? It wasn't paying salaries for teachers. That 200 kwacha per term was supplementing the effort of government to keep the environment in the schools, to buy chalk for teachers, to maintain the grounds in schools. 200 kwacha per child per term. Now, Mr. Hagainde comes and says, I'm going to abolish this 200 kwacha per term and calls it free education. If indeed it is free education, you must compare the total cost of educating a child for the family. Previously, children in my area where I live were paying 200 kwacha per term to go to school and paying probably 3 kwacha to jump on the bus to go to school. All right? Now, they're not paying 3 kwacha anymore. They're now paying 20 kwacha per day to go to school. Within 10 days, that 200 kwacha which they saved by not paying school fees is finished. Over and above that, during our time, the child would afford porridge in the morning because the parents could afford meal meal. The parents could afford sugar. So the child had porridge in the morning before going to school. Now, this child, if they are lucky, according to Hagainde, they will roast chimbala from last night. They roast chimbala in the morning for them to go cracking chimbala as they go to school, because they have saved 200 kwacha. What free education is that? That is a total deceit of the Zambian people. The truth of the matter now is that it costs much more now to educate a child than it did during our time. That 200 kwacha is very insignificant to the total cost of educating a child. You spoke about another matter. When you were giving me examples, you spoke about CDF, and you said they increased CDF from 1.6 million to 36 million. I was one of those members of parliament who received 1.6 million. And if you go to the constituency that are represented in Kabwata, I can go and point at all the projects I undertook using 1.6 million. Last Sunday, I was at Palm Sunday celebration for the Communical Committee of Livala, Kamwala, and Kabwata at the Church of Nazarene. I shed tears because that Church of Nazarene, is very close to Lusakasa Primary School. And I use CDF to do the toilets there. I use CDF to roof some buildings there. And on Sunday, when I tend to look at my Lusakasa Primary School, there is a whole classroom block with broken asbestos roof. Broken asbestos roof. And yet they are bragging that they are giving Kabwata people 36 million kwacha. If a school such as Lusakasa can have a broken roof, of what use is it to celebrate that 36 million kwacha? I'm a resident of Kabwata, and I go around asking my colleagues in Kabwata, can you show me, Vane, where is our CDF going? I don't know. I only heard about paving the market, paving around the market in Challenge. I, as Member of Parliament, solicited resources to rebuild Challenge market. But my CDF at that time was only 40 kwacha, 40,000 kwacha. That's what I was getting. 40,000 kwacha per year. And yet I delivered development. And yet we delivered development. So this 36 million kwacha they are talking about is again another product of Hakainde's deceit. Let me explain why it is deceit. He tells all of us, I'm giving constituencies 36 million kwacha a year for them to use, and this is decentralization, giving power to the people to decide. When did the people of Mchelenge sit and say, out of our 36 million, we want to build a chief's palace? Out of our 36 million, we want to buy a police vehicle. Out of our 36 million, we want to buy an ambulance. When did they decide? The decision is made here in Lusaka. The ministers here in Lusaka are the ones who determine that every constituency must buy an ambulance, every constituency must buy a police vehicle.
But surely, Mr. President, every constituency has got its own unique problems. So if your assertions that those decisions are being made centrally, then rolled out to the entire 154 constituencies.
156.
156 constituencies, rather. Doesn't this work in conflict with addressing the individual unique problems in those constituencies?
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying this is deceit of the highest order. You tell the people that I'm giving you money for you to decide, and yet it is you who's deciding. That's deceit. It is the same as me telling my children, my girls come, my boys come, let's go to a shop. I'm giving each one of you 1,000 kwacha to go shopping. Then I go into the shop and I say, you buy bread, you buy sugar, you buy carpenter. And I say, I've empowered my children. That's deceit. Yes, the money can be registered to them, but I'm the one who has decided what the money is used for. That is not decentralization. That is deceit of the highest order. And this CDF is a product of the gross nature of the deceit of Hakainde and his UPND government.
You are not in agreement that CDF is a game changer?
It is not a game changer in any way. In any way at all.
How do you compare the actualization of major capital projects under CDF with CDF under PF, which was only 1.6, compared to the 6 million plus that has been brought under the UPND government?
I already gave you an example. In the last 5 years of my tenure, I was getting 1.6 per year. Okay? 1.6 million per year. Now, they are telling us they are giving 36 million per year. In the last 5 years of my tenure, I can point at the projects I undertook with the people. Okay? We built 5 police stations. 5 in 5 years. With 1.6 million. What about with the 36 million? We should have seen hospitals in Kabwata. We shouldn't have had the gravel roads in Kabwata. We should have seen tarred roads everywhere. And I'm speaking about Kabwata not because of the MP for Kabwata, but because I live there.
People have argued that CDF by and large has been used by government as a way of central government disconnecting itself from its responsibilities.
Had that been the case, then it would not have been an imposed project on CDF. Now the projects are imposed on them. Every constituency must do the same. They must all buy ambulances. They must all buy police vehicles. Are you sure that the people everywhere have decided that? No, their priorities are different. They even go and buy a common vehicle, same vehicle. Huh? Land Cruiser hard body for Kabwata. Land Cruiser 4x4 hard body. to supervise projects in Kabwata. Where do you need a 4x4 in Kabwata? Where? The residents of Kabwata who drive 4x4 vehicles are the ones who have trips outside Kabwata. Now, tell me how a 4x4 vehicle for Lusaka Central is of use to Lusaka Central. Huh? And you buy the same exact vehicle for a person in Chilubi. A 4x4. And are you sure that the people of Kabwata sat and said, we in Kabwata should spend all this money to buy a hardtop Land Cruiser 4x4 for project monitoring? No. No. And traveling this country, I've seen motor vehicles, CDF monitoring vehicle for one constituency being found in another province. What are they monitoring CDF in another province? And when you ask, it is government using those vehicles. Central government is using vehicles that are meant for constituencies. Don't you see that that's deceit? Total, outright deceit. And the Zambian people are seeing through this deceit.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Mr. President. There are claims that basic tasks, such as the importation of maize at inflated prices. We are just talking about the 156 ambulances that were procured under CDF. Thus far, only a handful have been delivered. These are the many concerns that are coming out from the people. What alternatives does the PF have, and what do you propose as a party to address some of these failures? And how would a PF-led administration bouncing back to power ensure that better economic management and prudent management of national resources are put in place to prevent the issues that the Zambians are currently facing under the UPND?
Thank you. The Patriotic Front wants the Zambian people give us a second mandate in 2026. We will learn from our experiences. We made mistakes, yes, in some areas. And we have reflected upon those mistakes. And as they say, experience is the best. Now, we are also experienced by providing positive development to our country. So we know both failure and success. We are not like the UPND, which has no success record whatsoever. We have success record. We have some failings, yes. One of the failures we made was to delay in Zambianizing the running of our mines. We delayed. We should have done that much earlier. We should have empowered Zambians to control our mineral resources. We should have made sure that the minerals in Zambia are being used for the beneficiation of Zambians. We made a mistake there. We thought about it towards the end of our stay in office. We had great experiences on which we shall build. One example I can give you, which is close to my heart, is the agricultural sector. You may recall that it was during the PF, during the 10 years of the PF, that Zambia became the food basket of the sub-region. In 2016, 2017, Zambia produced 3 million metric tons of maize. That's not a joke. For the very first time, 3 million metric tons. After that, with this government, the number is dropping. We learned our lessons. That, look, you cannot force agricultural production on people. Don't allow people to make decisions, economic decisions, on the products that they can produce. We realized that the previous governments, using the Farmer Input Support Program, were distributing fertilizer everywhere and anywhere. I was Minister of Agriculture myself. When I went to visit my home province, the DACOs there were telling me, this fertilizer that is being sent here, no one is using it because the people here don't want fertilizer. They can't use fertilizer in the sand. We decided, look, instead of giving these people fertilizer, which they don't use, can we look for money to go into commodities that they can produce? Rice, We got in touch with the Japanese to assist us to fund the rice production. We got Africa Development Bank. They gave us $52 million to do the cashew projects in Western Province. When we went to Southern Province, we realized the rain belt is shifting. There is no more rain in the Southern Province. These people here, what they require are weirs, dams, for water so that they can grow livestock. And let's give them money for them to go and buy vaccines for their livestock. Let's give them money for them to fence their paddocks. Why were we doing that? Because we knew that giving them fertilizer, forcing fertilizer on them, was a waste of time. We went up north and we realized there is a lot of rain here in the northern province, in Wapula, in Muchinga, in northwestern province, and the northern part of central province. And we said, why don't we encourage these ones to stop the Chitemene system of one small field here, let them go into real agricultural production for commercial purposes. That's how we managed the 3 million metric tons of maize. We learned our lesson. When the Zambian people decide in 2026 that PF must come back, we are coming with a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge. The other lesson that we have learned is that you cannot shunt civil servants to the corner and keep paying them salaries for doing nothing, as the case is now. As I speak now, there are more than 450 civil servants, 450 of them, senior civil servants. I'm not talking about teachers. I'm talking about civil servants at the position of director upwards. They are all shunted at cabinet office, doing completely nothing, just reading newspaper. And at the end of the month, the taxpayer, the woman in Kalingalinga, is paying tax to pay those people salaries. No. If a person has committed an offense, discipline them. And if they deserve to be relieved of their position, relieve them so that you pay them their terminal benefits. Don't shunt them in a corner where they'll be disgruntled, getting a salary for nothing, and a lot of those people are depressed. Because for them, they want to save their country. And now you have shunted them in a corner without even telling them what offense they have committed. We have learned that from the UPND. And when we form government, we'll avoid that.
What would be the
very important question you're asking? What would be the fate of those people? And I've discussed this with my colleagues, and I've said, colleagues, this is a very serious matter. Because those 450 people who are shunted in the corner, are we going to dismiss them? No. We'll have to review all their cases, case by case. And I am, without doubt in my mind, a lot of them are there for all other reasons except committing an offense. They have not committed any offense, the majority of them. Because had they committed offenses, they would have gone through the civil service disciplinary procedure. But they are shunted there because they have no offenses. Now, will we bring them back? And if we do, what about the persons who are occupying their positions? You can see the problems that these novices have created for Zambia. And I can assure the Zambian people that we don't assume that the task ahead of us is easy. It is not easy. It is a huge task.
That you have highlighted the issue of the about 450 senior civil servants who have been put on holding positions at cabinet office. It brings to my attention the need to ask. It is just as good as saying that certain positions are being paid for twice.
In some cases, 3 times. In some cases, 3 times. The first person who was found there as permanent secretary, instead of being told, please, you have committed an offense and let's pay you a terminal benefit, go home. You put them kuwaya. You employ another one. And this one, after 2 years, you realize, this one, no. Huh? Instead of telling them you have committed an offense or you're incompetent and want to prove that you're incompetent, you realize there is no offense they have committed, they are competent, put them to wire. and employ another one. 3 people getting a salary for the same position, and yet only one is working. It's a sad state of affairs. Extremely sad state of affairs.
So how then do we engage? Those are states.
You know, instead of just bragging about employing 20,000 teachers, 40,000, this and that, who you are underpaying, what we require now is a total civil service reform. That's what we'll do. We'll have to come up with a total civil service reform from bottom up. Because, as you know, there are some ministries that may have more directors than are required. But there are also some ministries that are understaffed. So what we have to do is a thorough study of the whole civil service and reform the way the civil service is run. You know, according to the Constitution of Zambia and government procedures, the only officers that are supposed to be appointed by the head of state are ministers and permanent secretaries. All the others under that are supposed to be employed by the Civil Service Commission. Okay? Now, the appointment of the Civil Service Commission itself must be changed. The law now gives power to the president to appoint the Civil Service Commission. And obviously, when you appoint the Civil Service Commission as president, what do? You call the shots.
Just hold that thought, Mr. Well, you are through to Millennium tonight. From? Hello? Good morning. We can hardly hear you. The volume must be very low on your gadget, I suppose. Okay, the phone is quite low. Would you care to just cut the line and call us back? Please. Mr. President, we will be getting back to our but I wanted us to touch one other issue. Looking at the state that Zambia is in, considering Zambia's current economic challenges, marked by escalating inflation and unemployment, do you believe that the focus on the constitutional amendment diverts the attention from the urgent economic reforms needed? What specific actions should the government prioritize to effectively assert the financial strain on the populace?
Yeah. Before I come to that very important matter, you asked me the previous question, you talked about the mismanagement of procurement and so on. Yes. Let me add to the example you gave.
Because I actually started by, I wanted us to look at the revelations on the procurement scandals. We have had the Mismanagement scandal from Tanzania.
Right.
We have also had the 156 ambulances that were bought through CDF, and not everything has been delivered, just like the Mismanagement in Tanzania.
Precisely.
Sure.
And there's also the drug scandal. The Egypt drugs
scandal, yes. I wanted us to speak.
Yes, but the one that I want to focus on first is the Mesgate scandal. The reason why I want to focus on that is because it is so clear that these guys are real dealers. They are scandalous dealers. They found 300,000 metric tons of maize. They took ZNBC cameras to all silos to go and show, look, we have so much maize, we're going to export maize. The Minister of Agriculture is even boasting in Parliament, we shall not stop exporting maize, we shall export maize. They exported that maize, Mr. Mwansa, to neighboring countries. Unfortunately, they even suspended excise duty. Now, for the sake of your viewers, when a country allows the export of any commodity, it is not the government that is exporting. It is the private person who is exporting. In this particular case, they allowed Zambians, can you export maize? Now, Zambia as a country has a right to earn from any commodity that is exported. During our time, we were charging 20% excise duty on every bag of maize that we exported. On every bag of meal that we exported, the government was earning 20% excise duty. Enter in there, oh, there's so much maize. export it, no duty. Okay? After having exhausted our maize.
Mr. President,
yes,
we'll get to that.
Very well.
Pick up a caller.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Caller, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from. Then you can go ahead with your comment or question. Hello? Hello, you are through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from.
Oh, this is Mr. Teska from Matero.
Mr. Teska from Matero, we have Honorable Given Lubinda, the Vice President for the Patriotic Front. We are discussing national matters. I'm quite certain you have been following the deliberations. Your comment or question, please.
Yes, exactly. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Teska. How is Matero?
Matero, we are just suffering no power.
No power, Ndala, no power, no power.
Yes, okay, sir. May I have just a few questions I want to ask you? I'm following you. In fact, amongst all elderly politicians that we have at the moment in this country, I think you are one of those good ones. The way you are articulating things is very correct, sir. This government we are having right now is not a good government. May I just want to ask you a question, because concerning the issue of Patriotic Front, you know, sir, we are not happy about what happened to that General Conference by Millennium. So now, my issue is, we followed the PF Constitution and Article 46, Article 52, Article 60. We have certain articles in our PF Constitution. It says the Vice President and the Secretary General of the party, they have powers. That powers to function the duties of the president of the party. And in fact, when the president of the party has resigned or is no more, meaning the vice president or the secretary general of PF must take the actions of the president. Meaning you, the vice president, you had the powers that time to expel Mao Zedong. Even our Secretary General Rafael Nakashin had powers also to do it, to discipline Mao Zedong for that General Conference that they did. But surprisingly, we are not seeing anything positive from that time, because the Constitution already is defending you, sir, that you can take the matter to the court, so that the Constitution court can go and do it and explain exactly about the powers of the Vice President and the Secretary General of which you did to expel Mao Zedong. But what we are seeing, UPND government is not doing perfect things, because what they are doing is to punish PF. That's what they want. When we come to the issue of this constitutional amendment which they want to do, this is not correct. This is not the right time. UPND have run away from their area promises, and if there was someone in this country amongst all past leaders, including HH, the current one, HH had a better chance to run this country, but because he had no better plans for this country, only the plans to punish and revenge the previous regimes. This is all what we are witnessing right now, which is not okay. We as youths, we have our constitution, as Zambian constitution, Article 259 and Article 60. These articles, they are very clear to say. Hello?
Can we quickly wind up so that we can accommodate more callers?
Alright, in conclusion, these two articles that I've mentioned, like Article 60, is very clear to say political parties are empowered to do what, to support their candidates. Meaning, even if they can do what, they can nominate young ones, the youths, of which we know perfectly that there is no need to amend the constitution based on youth inclusion in leadership style. No, there's nothing like that, like what the UPND is doing. So what they do, what they want is to rape the constitution so that it favors the evil plans that they have this current government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Teska. Mr. President, perhaps you can continue on the thought that you were sharing with regards to the procurement.
Yes. Then we'll come to Teska. Yes, I was saying that these friends of ours are real dealers. Other individual is running a regime of dealers.
Maybe we accommodate the caller, then we can.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Caller, you're through to Millennium tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm calling from Livingston.
Mr. Nawa, you are welcome to Millennium tonight. We have the Vice President for the Patriotic Front, Honorable Given Lubinda, in the studio tonight. You can go ahead with the question or contribution. A greeting for you.
Thank you. Lubinda,
constitution ulibe leo yamene bakongereza so inaniona Zambia yenda mudenja because ngati mukala na leaders wamene bakongereza ramulo is very danger. The constitution which they shown which was actually protect, but this time they are not protecting. Oh yes, the laws yankala ikiona kuti constitution wanaifa kampati machina chembe bao wampesono noti baramulo aka apa tungakambe maisamba kampata koti order ya kuti achinje vitu mu parliament kuti mechi chitikana manje tumakonka na politics ya kulita vyozi chitikana manje so kulitu kutawa tenzera mucho bakakambati no afungu ya nyumba ya malamulo kwenzi kaja kaulemu tuzamile na ko parliament ino manje we mwandisa ko control leo
Perhaps we pick some more callers and we can collectively respond.
Very well.
Yeah, through to Millennium tonight. We have the Vice President for the PF, Honorable Lubinda, in the studio. Your name and where you're calling us from. You can proceed.
This is Matthews from within Lusaka.
Indeed, Matthews. Go ahead with the question or contribution.
Good evening, Honorable Lubinda.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Very, very okay.
Thank you. Praise God.
Honorable, tell us, of course, you've mentioned some of the things and whatever, but tell us what you're going to do differently. It's what we want to hear. And what made you, as a PF, behave in the manner you behaved at the time we were given a chance to govern this country. I think those are things that we want to hear. Otherwise, for some of us, I think we're better off with President H to continue governing. All these things that are being said, is abrogating constitution, is doing what. Those are just things being drawn out of proportion for no reason. Is being accused and whatever. For some of us, he's a good man. What you need to do is tell us your agenda. What exactly you're coming to do differently. I think basically that's what we need for now, so that we can plan and see how we can buy into your vision. Already, even leadership, just leadership, a simple thing like leadership is a big challenge for you. You people are not inspiring any confidence are not instilling any confidence in people that you whose votes you want. So those are the things we want to hear, Honorable. Good evening.
Thank you very much. We still have a caller. I think there's a caller on the line. We are talking Millennium tonight. We have Honorable Given. Would you care to turn down the volume on your gadget, please? We are getting some terrible feedback. Hello? Okay, we have lost that caller. We are. But, you can still find time to call in, and we will definitely. Hello? We are talking Millennium tonight. We have Honorable Given Lubinda, the Patriotic Front Vice President, in the studio tonight. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yes, good evening. Honorable, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
It's Mishek. I'm calling from Mbara, Northern Province.
Good, Mr. Mishek from Umbala, Northern Province. Go ahead with your comment or contribution.
Yes, sir. If I'm going to be Honorable Ishtana ipwa PF yali onaika Ishtana ipwa numavena each and every time is just talking about Daka in the Ichirema. Instead of telling us, the Zambian people, especially us the youths, what they are going to do if they took over government next year. Each and every time work busy, that. Why Wakaina is very busy campaigning countrywide. They have killed PF. Tuishi na opposition nomboga wakuapangana niyo wakazinga polita bakosana bali ba Edgar Lungu abo constitution court yakanya tabakeminine kushita kule abantu babenga fire so that opposition ilile tuchine chitaiko seko numba pata pali kwati kwangala shema politics so balubinda ebena abantu ni roadmap ishi mulesenda roadmap ishi yomara tungura abantu so that beshibe abantu badishi abalubana no matakwenda opposition bakala basabayila babimbe basabayila mayiro balubinda libatonze muri nabamuka while the PF is the strongest opposition which we have but mulefa mona ulefi tell the Zambian people the way forward before it's too late.
Thank you very much.
For our serious opposition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Perhaps we can speak to
Right. Let me end on explaining what I was talking about, the procurement processes. Then I'll end only on maize, just to illustrate what I was saying.
Yes.
They exported 300,000 metric tons of maize duty-free.
Yes.
Meaning, when there was a shortage of maize in Zambia, what did they do? They imported expensive maize from South Africa, some of which was GMO. You remember the issue of aflatoxins?
Yes.
The government itself confessed that some of the maize they bought was GMO maize. And their excuse was that we're not selling this maize to Zambians, we're selling it to the border towns. It's in transit. Literally saying, we are treating our neighbors as though they are less human beings. We Zambians will not eat GMO, but we're selling GMO to our neighbors. That is bad governance. Over and above that, their friend Gonzales, and I'm saying their friend because of the inheritance of the statement made by Biden when Hakainde won. You remember Biden celebrated?
Yes.
That's why I'm saying their friend. And I'm saying it in jest. But Ambassador Gonzales recently revealed that they gave this country, this government, $20 million to import maize. From where? From Tanzania. At what price? 40% more than the market price. Now, they sold maize duty-free. They import at 40% more than the market price. Who has benefited there? It is obviously themselves. The difference has gone into their pockets. To make matters worse, Ambassador Gonzales has also revealed to the whole world that some of that maize didn't even arrive in Zambia, but it was paid for. How can a government pay for a commodity which has not arrived in the country and you keep quiet about it? You can't do that. Now, maybe it is time for me to respond to some of the questions that have been asked by my colleagues.
Indeed, Mr. President.
And then maybe we can come back to the important questions that you have. But let me quickly answer now. No, Matthews. I'll answer Matthews and Mishek. Matthews and Mishek tell me that I should address what we shall do. My suggestion to you, Matthews, is that you write to Millennium TV. Write to this TV station. Mishek, muchite phone kuliba Millennium Television, mubebe kuti that please arrange a program ya kwa Lubinda where your question will be about what will you do. Because here I'm answering your questions,
Indeed.
And the questions you ask me are very straightforward. You are asking me to review the performance of this government. How can I not answer your question and start talking about what Matthews wants me to talk about? Matthews wants me, when you ask me, like you asked me, you said the leadership performance of Hakainde Hichilema, of UPND. How do you assess it? Then Mishek and Matthews want me to say, no, I don't want to answer that question. I want to tell you that we, when we come into government, we shall do A, B, C, D. He himself will say, Bamwansa didn't ask you that question. Bamwansa asked you another question. So Matthews, don't hide behind this and say I should talk about what we shall do. I'm answering questions as they are posed. So Sunday Milomba, on behalf of Matthews and Mishek, next week arrange a program where you'll be asking me about our manifesto. What will we do? Now you're asking me questions, and that's why I'm answering the way I'm doing. Now, coming to now, my friend, you are very right. A person who decides to give themselves the power to come up with laws must first be willing to show that they can follow the laws. And you are right, now. This government has told us they want to amend Article 52. And Article 52, Vamwansa and listeners, is the one that says if there is an election and one of the candidates pulls out after filing nominations, that election will be cancelled. The nomination will be cancelled and done afresh. Okay? That's in the Constitution. And Bahaga India has said, I want this to be amended because it's a problem. Now, Bahaga India, have you implemented that law? Are you following that law? No, you are not. Bahaga India and the ECZ are not following that law. As things are now, they are bragging, they are celebrating. We won Kala Ward in Kawambwa. What happened in Kala Ward? Our candidate was abducted by the district commissioner for Kawambwa. And that involved even the permanent secretary. They abducted him and coerced him to withdraw. Okay? After he withdrew, he even went live and said, I've been abducted. They went and told him, if you really will cause trouble for you. In the end, he conceded. Did the Mwangala Zaomis follow Article 52 of the Constitution? No. So why even amending a constitution that you have no respect for? You don't respect it. Why is he amending it? And I want to say, Teska, you are a very good guy. Can you quickly come and see us so that you provide youth leadership in the PF? We need people like you. You know the constitution of the PF, and Teska is right. Sure, the constitution of the PF is so clear on how the management of the party will go. Then the judge goes and says to Miles Sampa, we are granting you an injunction to restrain Lubinda from acting as president. Up to now, that matter has not been closed. The court, against the constitution of the PF, against the constitution of Zambia, the court grants an injunction to Miles Sampa, and up to now it has not been handled.
In the interest of time, Mr. President, I want us to speak of the constitution amendments, and this should be your last remarks. And in view of the factors that led to the proposed constitutional amendments being predominantly initiated by the president instead of emerging as a grassroots people-driven movement, how does the influence of the perceptions of the UPND's dedication to fostering democratic engagement and inclusivity come in on this issue? And I want this to be your last, to come in as your last remarks, your response as your last remarks in closing the program in under 3 minutes.
Yes, I'll take 2 minutes on that because there's another matter that I want to talk to which you referred to, but I think I didn't exhaust it. Now,
the maximum I can go is 3 minutes.
Very well, 3 minutes. Let me take 2 minutes on this, then I'll take 1 minute on the other. A constitution making process is always people driven. It is never top down. In this particular case, all the 13 amendments that President Hakainde has come with are his own amendments. Whom did he consult? Can he point to any of those proposed amendments and say, this one came from the church, this one came from the youths, this one came from that organization? None of them. Or even to point at any amendment that is proposed which came from Parliament? None. All of those amendments are Hakainde-driven amendments. And I want to inform the Zambian people that Hakainde's #1 amendment there is not all these things about delimitation, about increased participation of women and youth. Like Teska said, if Hakainde was serious about increasing the participation of women and youth, he should have used the existing laws. Article 259, like Teska said, empowers him in appointments to appoint women and youths and to balance regions. He hasn't done that. The one amendment that is of interest to Hakainde, again, is a cookery one. It is the one where he's saying he must be given power to come up with a subsidiary law, an act of parliament, to determine the number of members of parliament he can nominate. Now it is enshrined in the constitution, only 8, meaning if he wants to increase to 9, 2/3 of members of parliament must vote. Now, if now he manages to get that through, only that one article, Hakainde will have achieved what he wants. And I'll tell you what he wants. The amendments that Hakainde wants will not take effect in 2026, by Matthews, by Mishek. No. They will take effect the very day that they are passed in parliament for after third reading. He was sent to them the very day, and the next day he will effect them.
So you mean to
What
say
he
the
will
very
do,
next day he can increase,
he can go to parliament, change the law, and say instead of 8, I want 50. And because it will be an act of parliament, you and me, Vamwansa, wailasha. And once he increases the number, what is he aiming at? Then before the next dissolution of parliament, I can assure you, Hakainde will amend the articles that he wants. And the articles that Hakainde wants is number 1, 50% plus 1. He wants that out of the way at all costs. Number 2, he doesn't want this 5-year term. He wants a 7-year term. He said it himself. All right? He said it himself. So Zambians, don't be duped. All these other things, delimitation, what is just the icing around what he really wants. What his number 1 agenda there is power to nominate more than 8 members of parliament so that he has total control of parliament to amend the constitution in the manner that he wishes. Now, you asked me a question that he wants to double GDP and so on and so forth. We have to look at his experience up to now. What has he achieved? I've demonstrated to you the costs that have increased. But also, I want to demonstrate to you. Hakainde will come, if you give him another term, I can assure you that you'll have an absentee president, which is a danger to Zambia. President Kenneth David Kaunda was president for 27 years. Okay? In those 27 years, do you know how many trips he undertook? 58. 58 only in 27 years. Okay? Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. And he says, I have done things which all the previous presidents have not done. Yes. You have messed up the country more than any other president we have had. In only 3.5 years, you have traveled internationally more than 70 trips. And yet the founding father of this country, 27 years, only 58 trips. And you, 3.5 years, 70 trips. Yes, you want to come and double GDP by coming to just spoil our country and travel and stay abroad while the country is on autopilot. That's what he wants to do. And he wants to come and continue with the Imita Ufole. When you have all these programs, Imita Ufole, social cash transfer, work for food, food for work, and what, it is because the economy is biting. And you want to just give alms to people. Zambians don't want alms. Zambians want an economy which can make them thrive. They want to go to a market and sell, and the people will buy. Now you are having to force people to come and work in the road. 70-year-old women, I see them sweeping road. Sure. 70-year-old woman, you're even happy, food for work. No, that is a sign of a collapsed economy. This is the reason why a country which is one of the 5 highest producers of copper is rated the 6th poorest country in the world, all because of one man who deceived people like Matthews, deceived people like Mishek, that these people are even following now blindly. I can assure you that even where Matthews is, he is saying this because he thinks that tomorrow maybe somebody will look his way.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, viewers, there has been your Tuesday's edition of Millennium tonight. We have had a very engaging discussion with the PF Vice President, Honorable Given Lubinda. I'm sure there are a lot of take-home points from this discussion. We are so glad you found time to join us. I'm your host, Collins Mwansamulipa.